And I just thank my students. I bring my students into it. I make them part of the team. I ask them to help me proofread things. I ask them to tell me when something needs to be fixed. So what that does for them is that I'm not seen as perfect, because if the person in front of you always appears perfect and you in your own mind don't match up, then you're going to think that's, and we're going to move into failure in a second. So stress is part of life. Mistakes are part of life. Not knowing is part of life. Being tired is part of life. Not being motivated is part of life. But all those parts of life, don't make them your life. Make them parts of your life. So I'll always show up as professional. The way I teach is with tough love. I'm very strict and very disciplined, because if you work hard, you should have to work hard for it. But I'm always open to what's happening in the lives of my students so that I can give them compassion and self-compassion. So one way to rethink stress, because stress moves into resilience, they all go hand in hand, is that you can't have success without stress. So what I often say to students when they're in pain is I remind them that they're paying for the pain, and it's called tuition. And see that door? I pointed out to the door, you can't see it right now. I often say, you know what, quit. And by the way, every one of you, it's called reverse psychology. Quit at any point in time. You don't have to be a student leader. You don't have to be a student. You don't have to be a boyfriend, girlfriend. You don't have to even be in Canada. Sandy, stick around, take care of those kids. But there's so many things in our lives that we don't have to do. But when we see it as a choice, when we know it's a choice, then we step into it in a more empowered way. And we need stress to grow, that we push ourselves to the next level of our lives by inviting in being a student leader, by inviting in being in college, by inviting in being in university, being a parent, being a partner, being a dog dad, being whatever it is. We invite those things in because what we're doing before that wasn't enough. Just think of where you'd be if you weren't in college, Angie. Where would you be at that job that you don't want to be at? So I often say to students that it's your part-time job that's your greatest motivator. The worst relationship you ever had in your past, when you own the parts that you contributed, make it the best relationship now. So this is based on palm trees that do not grow when it's sunny. They grow in storms. That's similar to us in all of this adversity. We are growing roots that are going to benefit us, for you, for the next 80 years of your life. So when you're in it, it feels like it's going to be forever. But when you look back, Ryan, think about some of the challenges in your life. Sandy, think about the challenges in your life. All of you, think of what it took for you to get to Canada to be in this program. Don't forget what you've overcome to be here. You're growing roots that are difficult in this moment, but it will benefit for you the rest of your life. When I'm having a hard day, I think about the worst day I've ever had. And it's not today. It's not even in the pandemic. I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I use that as a reference. When I come to class, I remind students that, you know what? Somebody's going to get fired today. Someone's getting a divorce today. Someone's going to die today. All these things. And you're worried about whether it's going to be online or in campus? Instead, change the story. Change the story by saying, what should I flex my bicep? What is being strengthened in me by this adversity? So all of these slides that you have, you can pepper your bedrooms with. You can share them with your friends, because we all have that one friend that always calls with all the problems and say, you know what? What did you learn from that relationship that didn't work out? You learn what you don't want. What did you learn from the fact that you're in your second or your third major, that this isn't your first rodeo? You learn what you don't want. So I would like everybody, oh, okay, I'm going to answer. So some of your questions that you asked that are in the chat, save them for Ask Dr. D, because it's good. Vishwa, you asked a question there. So I want you now to answer in the chat, what is being strengthened in you by the adversity? What are you stronger for? For me, it's patience. Oh my God, it's patience. And here's a list. It's from that I've certainly become more creative. We've all had to become more creative. I have a different perspective. So you get what's being strengthened in you by this adversity. So you can answer that in the chat. You can take from this list. These are like basically tough times are character builders. Tough times are character builders. Okay, so yes, confidence, patience, perspective, curiosity. There's research out there that says that creativity only happens in adversity, like at a deep, deep level. So if you look back on all the greatest inventions over a course of a lifetime, they didn't happen because you're actually on vacation, enjoying yourself. They happened because you're in a place of pain and you need to get out of it. Yes, so yes, and Ryan, by the way, congratulations, finishing your master's degree and all the learning that's taking place right here. Let's have a big congratulations in the middle of a pandemic, all of that, over and above a full-time job and a family and a home and all of that. You know, look to the strongest links in your life for inspiration, not the weakest. Oh my God, forgiveness, absolutely. I have healed so many relationships, and I've also let go of many relationships in the pandemic because I find the pandemic speeds everything up. Yes. So self-regulation's on here. And self-regulation is really being in tune with your emotions. So what I was talking about earlier that, you know, myself included, I am human, that we get to a place of panic and stress and anxiety, any of those things. But what I find is I catch myself sooner. And by the way, when you're in that place, 9 times out of 10, it's not you. It's that you're overstimulated. So we'll talk about that too, because somebody said, how do you get out of that place? And that's because, it's one of my favorite quotes. I think about like a parallel universe. So that the world with the pandemic and the world without the pandemic. And one of my videos, I also have a YouTube channel, I have about 200 videos up there. And one of the questions I asked was, what is being awakened in you? How has the pandemic changed you? And what I believe is that every single one of you, it's opened up a new level, a higher level of destiny. And where faith comes in is believing it without seeing it. So all of us are in preparation mode. Every single one of us are in preparation mode. You ever seen the movie Rocky? I'm a kickboxer myself. So we're just like preparing for the next level. So now we're in the next 12 minutes or so, we're going to talk about specific skills, because we can talk about general ideas, but what's really important for me when we talk about leadership training is that you walk away with some specific skills. So the first session was really about shifting that. When you look at stress management, you don't go into the stress, you actually go into what relieves you of the stress. Now when it comes to bounce back, bounce forward, that the Latin word for resilience is to leap back. And we touched base on these, and this is from this article. So I've never written so much before either, because it's one of the ways that I'm creative. 3 ways to bounce forward. And I have, on one of these magazines, I definitely have hard copies, Siobhan, that I need to bring so your peeps can have them physically in their hands. And so in here, we'll just sort of touch base on it. And then just like the first part, you have your 12 days of self-care. You can also do 3 resilience skills. And one is that you have a board, and that between this year and last year, how much you have overcome. In the last 10 years, how much you've overcome. That it's called the paradox of strength, that you don't get stronger. Think about it physically, Sandy. When you're working out, you wild woman, that you don't do one pound. When you're lifting those big, I know. Let me go over to Ryan. I know that about you, Sandy. Ryan, when you're working out, I should have had your weights in there. That you don't lift the same 1 pound over and over. You're like always you're lifting heavier every time. So what are some things in the chat? Take inventory of your life. I think we undersell ourselves. We undervalue ourselves because there's something called, I coined it, it's been coined, stress amnesia. When you're in the middle of a challenge, you forget that this is nothing compared to other things that you've overcome. So you can put it in the chat privately, you can put it publicly if you want. So I shared last time too that the way I got to St. Clair, just like I met my husband not because every relationship worked out before, it's because every relationship didn't work out. I got to St. Clair because I was laid off from a job at the college or I'm at the school board, not because, oh, I wanted to be a teacher. The last thing I ever wanted to be was a teacher. So that I overcame, and no matter what, it is humiliating to go through difficult times. It is humiliating to go through breakups. It is humiliating. I have failed stats courses in university. You know, like I failed so many, almost every article is based on everything that's gone wrong. And most people, by the way, that are in a positive state of mind aren't because their life's easy. It's because it's good compared to the way it was. So when I started teaching at the college in 2003, I was laid off from the position, and 2 months later they called me back, and thank God I was laid off because I never would have found teaching. Thank God every relationship didn't work out before John because I wouldn't have met John. So what have you overcome? What makes you worthy? What makes you resilient? Resilient is just like I go to a seminar and I'm resilient. You lived a life of resiliency. Talk to me about what it took for you to get to Canada. How many different things did you have to do to get here? Yes, Angie, love it. Yes, Angie, I'm trying to think if you were ever a student of mine, because we talked about Columbia, but maybe not. So yes, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember John. He was my friend. He is from Columbia too. He's
okay. Yes, John. Yes, John. He's a liberal arts student.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. You know, how many, you say John, I'm taught like 1,000 Johns, but some Johns stick out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He's from Columbia too, so maybe that's why.
Make sure you say hi to him for me. Yes.
Okay.
100%. So yeah, you were waitlisted at other schools that you were, use the term rejected, like their loss, and you wanted some kind of change. So when you find yourself in a place of not being motivated, feeling flattened, like you can't do another day. Yes, and then yes, once again, being locked in your house through the pandemic and not being able to do things that you would be able to do. The fact that you have, okay, out of all the countries, Canada is one of the ones that is the most restricted. Cheers for coming to Canada. So you have managed to be a student in a time where you couldn't even leave your house. So that's a big challenge for sure, and overcoming it. And by the way, and Sandy and Ryan, and you guys can tell me about your situations, you're still married. The divorce lawyers are doing very well right now, let me just say, so that your marriage can survive lockdown. Yeah, so yeah, your family's having fun in Columbia. So these are things that you've overcome, which is really important. So the next one, we've already talked about these things. So that another one is have a challenge for a week called the Freedom to Fail Challenge. When I'm at the gym, I always say to the trainers, tell me everything I'm doing wrong. Where am I failing? And it's the opposite in the classroom, right? There's this panic around failure. Reflect on the fact that the only time that you learn is if you fail with supportive feedback. And this is so important. And I know that the team, the administrators, I know that also know that the president. And what's really important, here's another article. I read about every failure I've ever had in my life, failures feedback, is that if you feel safe to fail, if you feel supported, if you remove the shame and the humiliation that goes with it. So a team challenge for a week can be, I want you to pick 5 things, 1 thing, 2 things. Like for example, I'm a terrible golfer. I'm not interested in it. I just want the view. That's about it. And my ego gets in the way. So think about, you guys are all really, really good at a lot of things. So for example, I'll see students that will only study what they know. No, you have to study what you don't know. I need to go play golf and be horrible at it and not care. So where are some areas of your life? You maybe paint, maybe draw, maybe write, maybe do stand-up comedy. So have a meeting where everybody like showcases the thing that they're worst at and realize that when you're with a group, a team, back to be yourself, back to you're enough, that they just want you, not your special talents. They want you feeling safe to fail, free to fail. And this is why I love this quote, because if you look back on your life, so I was sharing about being at the college, I was sharing about meeting John, moving to Windsor, I always thought I'd be in London, moving to Windsor, any of these things, what you shared right there, didn't happen because things went right. They happened because things went wrong. So that's your next resilience skill. It's really that fail with love, fail with freedom. Set your ego aside. Because if we only do what we are good at, we're really only basically doing the same thing, 5 things over and over and over and over again. And that's boring. Be a goofball. Don't be afraid to be a goofball. And then finally, adopt a growth, we hear this a lot too, but adopt a growth mindset, and that really circles back to how you talk to yourself. So we're gonna do the arm thing again. That the idea that when you're open to everything, you're gonna be more flexible. And this is one of the things I love about working with young people. Because when you're not sure about being flexible and open, look at Sandy, how old are your kids? You can put in the type, you want to type it in there too. That they will just try anything, okay? 2, I was gonna say, yeah, 2 and 4. And 2 and, perfectionist there, 2 and 4. So they're just gonna do anything and they're gonna be open to it. So be open to the possibilities that take unexpected roads. And when you're going through difficult times, basically we're living in uncertainty. Instead of being, see, stress is very tight, it's very rigid. That's why your body hurts. It's one of the most physical of all of the mental health issues, is stress and anxiety. And that's why I do this a lot, we're gonna do it again. And when you open your arms up like this, you're expansive, and all of a sudden, all the answers are possible. All the answers are possible. So when you're in a difficult time, like this, let's do the stretch again. When you're in a difficult time, say to yourself, and you can do this, say it to yourself, I'm expanding. I'm expanding. I'm expanding. Every time you experience failure, you're actually increasing the neural connections in your brain and you're getting smarter. So as I shared, the link to this article is in there. And on that note,